Hey everyone, and welcome back. Today we're going to be taking a deep dive into Solana price predictions.
Ooh, fun.
Yeah, you guys shared an article with us, an analysis from a crypto analyst known as CryptoRus, titled Metin Yapıştırıldı.
Okay.
And get this, they're saying Solana could hit a new all-time high of $4,000.
Wow, that's pretty optimistic.
Yeah, I'm intrigued already. How about you?
Definitely. And what really caught my eye is how they're building their case. They're pointing to this cup and handle pattern emerging on Solana's price chart, which is a classic bullish signal in technical analysis.
Okay, cup and handle. Now I'm picturing like a fancy tea party, not a crypto chart.
Right.
So can you walk us through what this pattern actually means and why it gets traders so excited?
Yeah, sure. So picture this. You're looking at a price chart, and the price movements start to resemble, well, a cup with a handle.
Okay.
So the cup forms when the price drops, then gradually recovers, creating that rounded bottom.
Okay.
And then comes the handle, a shorter period where the price moves sideways before ideally breaking out upwards.
So it's like the price is taking a breather, gathering momentum before it makes a big move.
Exactly. And what makes this interesting for Solana is that we've seen this pattern play out over the past couple of years from 2022 to mid-2024. Solana's price went through a period of consolidation and recovery that formed the cup, and now recently we've seen this handle taking shape with prices hovering in a tight range, hinting at a potential breakout.
So this isn't just some theoretical pattern. It's actually reflected in Solana's real-world price history.
Hmm.
But how reliable is this cup and handle thing? Has it accurately predicted big moves in the past?
Well, it's considered a fairly reliable indicator in technical analysis, but it's not foolproof like any tool. Its accuracy depends on how it's interpreted. And combined with other forms of analysis, we need to consider things like trading volume and the overall market sentiment.
Speaking of market sentiment, we've seen Bitcoin hitting new highs lately. Could that positive momentum be spilling over into Solana's performance?
It's certainly possible a rising tide lifts all boats, as they say, and we know Solana has been on a tear recently, up nearly 15% in the last week alone.
Wow, 15%. That's impressive. Right now it's trading around $237. So if CryptoRus is right about this cup and handle breakout, how high could Solana actually go?
Well, CryptoRus believes the breakout will happen when Solana pushes past those resistance levels between $195 and $255. And once that happens, their analysis suggests we could see Solana surging to anywhere between $4,450 and $5,000.
Hold on, $5,000. That's an astronomical jump. What would even drive that kind of growth within the Solana ecosystem? What's the underlying potential here?
Well, Solana's known for its speed and scalability, which are crucial in the blockchain world. It can handle thousands of transactions per second at incredibly low costs. This has attracted a lot of developers building decentralized applications or dApps on the Solana network.
So it's not just about the token itself, it's about the whole ecosystem built around it.
Right.
The more activity on the network, the more demand for Solana.
We're seeing everything from DeFi platforms to NFT marketplaces flourishing on Solana, and that growth is only expected to accelerate, especially if we see this cup and handle pattern play out as CryptoRus predicts.
This is getting really interesting. So we've got this potentially explosive price prediction based on the cup and handle pattern, combined with the potential of a booming Solana ecosystem. But I'm also curious about those resistance levels you mentioned. What are they and why are they so important for this breakout to happen?
Resistance levels are essentially price points, where selling pressure has historically outweighed buying pressure, creating a sort of ceiling for the price. In this case, those levels between $195 and $255 represent hurdles that Solana needs to overcome to truly enter a new phase of growth.
So breaking through those resistance levels would be like a signal that the bulls are in control, paving the way for that potential surge towards $4,000 or even $5,000.
Precisely. It would be a strong indication that buyers are willing to push the price higher and that we could be entering a very bullish period for Solana.
Wow, this is fascinating. It seems like there's a lot of optimism surrounding Solana right now, fueled by this cup and handle pattern and the potential of its growing ecosystem. But are there any warning signs, any reasons for caution amidst all this excitement? We've got to look at both sides of the coin, right?
Absolutely. It's crucial to be aware of the risks. And there's one thing that stands out. While the overall market sentiment seems positive, trading volume for Solana has dipped slightly recently.
But even though the price is going up, there's a bit less activity in terms of people buying and selling.
That's right now, it might not be a major red flag, but it's something to keep an eye on. It could be a sign that the current upward momentum is losing steam.
Okay, a little cautionary note amidst all the excitement. So we have this tantalizing cup and handle pattern suggesting a possible price explosion for Solana. But we also need to consider the bigger picture, the overall market trends, and those potential warning signs. Before we get too carried away, I think it's time to dig a little deeper into the factors that could make or break Solana's future beyond just the charts. What do you think?
I completely agree. Let's delve into those fundamental drivers of value, things like Solana's technological advantages, the growth of its ecosystem, and the challenges it faces from competitors.
Sounds like a plan. And that brings us to the end of part 1 of our Solana deep dive. We've unpacked this cup and handle pattern, explored the potential for huge gains, and even touched upon some market trends and cautionary notes.
But hold on tight, because in part 2, we'll explore the factors that could shape Solana's destiny in the long run.
You won't want to miss it. Stay tuned.
Welcome back. So before we get into the nitty-gritty of Solana's tech and its ecosystem, we were talking about that eye-popping price prediction based on the cup and handle pattern. Remember, CryptoRus is suggesting Solana could hit $4,000 or even $5,000.
Yeah, those are some big numbers. But as you mentioned, we need to look beyond the charts and consider the real-world factors that could drive or hinder that kind of growth. So let's talk fundamentals. What are the key things we need to consider when evaluating Solana's potential?
Well, at its core, we need to assess Solana's technology. What makes it tick? Why is it attracting so much attention in the first place? One word: speed. Solana is known for being incredibly fast and scalable, which is essential for any blockchain platform that wants to handle a high volume of transactions.
Yeah, I remember reading somewhere that Solana can process thousands of transactions per second, and at a fraction of the cost of some of the older blockchains like Bitcoin or Ethereum. That's got to be a huge advantage, right?
It is absolutely, especially when you think about the growing demand for blockchain applications. Slow transaction speeds and high fees are a major bottleneck for adoption. Solana addresses those issues head-on, and that's why we're seeing this explosion of decentralized applications, or dApps, being built on the Solana network.
So it's kind of like a snowball effect.
Yeah.
The faster and cheaper the network, the more attractive it is for developers, which leads to more applications, more users, and ultimately more demand for Solana itself.
Precisely, it's all interconnected, and we're seeing a really diverse range of dApps on Solana. Everything from decentralized finance or DeFi platforms that let you lend and borrow crypto to NFT marketplaces where you can buy and sell digital art and collectibles. There are even gaming platforms built on Solana.
It's amazing to think about all the possibilities. Solana is becoming more than just a cryptocurrency. It's like a whole digital ecosystem. But surely there must be some challenges or drawbacks as well, right? No technology is perfect.
You're absolutely right. Every blockchain has its trade-offs, and one of the main concerns that has been raised about Solana is the level of centralization in its network.
Centralization, isn't that kind of counterintuitive for a blockchain? I thought the whole point was to be decentralized.
In theory, yes, but in practice, things can get a bit more complicated. In Solana's case, there are a relatively small number of validators responsible for securing the network and processing transactions. This has led to concerns about potential vulnerabilities and the possibility of a single point of failure.
I see. So if something were to happen to those validators, it could disrupt the whole network.
That's the worry now. Solana's developers are actively working on solutions to increase decentralization, but it's something to keep in mind when evaluating the platform's long-term prospects.
Okay, so centralization is one potential challenge. Are there any others we should be aware of?
Well, competition is another big one. The blockchain space is incredibly dynamic. New platforms are constantly emerging, each trying to offer something unique or improve upon existing technologies.
So Solana can't just rest on its laurels. It needs to keep innovating to stay ahead of the pack.
That's exactly right. It's a constant race to attract developers, users, and investment, and that brings us back to the price prediction. While the cup and handle pattern and Solana's technological advantages paint a potentially bullish picture, these challenges, centralization and competition, are important factors to consider.
It's a lot to weigh. For sure, we've got the excitement of this potential price surge, but also the need to be realistic about the risks and the competitive landscape before we would jump to any conclusions. I'd love to hear some alternative viewpoints on Solana's future. Are there other analysts out there who have a different take on where the price might be headed?
There are indeed. While CryptoRus's prediction has grabbed a lot of attention, not everyone is convinced that Solana is about to skyrocket to $4,000 or more.
Okay, I'm all ears. What are some of those alternative perspectives?
Well, some analysts are a bit more cautious, suggesting that while Solana's long-term potential is undeniable, a price surge of that magnitude in the short term might be a bit too optimistic.
So they're not necessarily bearish on Solana, they just think the timeline might be a bit more stretched out.
Exactly. They argue that the overall market conditions, while currently bullish, could change unexpectedly. We know crypto markets are notorious for their volatility.
Yeah, things can turn on a dime in the crypto world. It's not always smooth sailing.
Right. External factors like regulatory changes or broader economic trends can impact sentiment and lead to price corrections. So even with the most promising technology and a growing ecosystem, those external forces can still exert a powerful influence.
So it's important to keep an eye on the bigger picture and not just focus on the technical indicators in isolation. What else are these more cautious analysts saying?
They also tend to emphasize the fierce competition within the blockchain space, while Solana has its strengths. There are other platforms out there vying for dominance, each with its own unique selling points.
It's like a constant arms race with each blockchain trying to outdo the other in terms of features, speed, security, and so on.
That's a great way to put it, and some analysts even argue that Solana's level of centralization, which we talked about earlier, could hinder its long-term growth compared to more decentralized platforms.
So it's not a guaranteed win for Solana. There are definitely hurdles to overcome.
Exactly, and that's why it's so important to consider all these different perspectives and do your own research before making any investment decisions.
Well said. It's easy to get caught up in the hype, especially when you see bold predictions like the one from CryptoRus. But it's crucial to step back, look at the bigger picture, and weigh the potential risks and rewards.
Absolutely. Informed decision-making is key in this space. We've explored the cup and handle pattern, dived into Solana's technology and ecosystem, and even discussed some of the challenges it faces.
And we've heard from both the bulls and the bears, so to speak. But there's one more layer to this story that I think is really important to explore in the next part.
Yeah.
I want to delve into the human element of all this.
The human element.
Yeah, we've talked about the technology, the market trends, the predictions, but what about the people behind Solana? The developers, the investors, the community? What are their motivations? What are their hopes and fears? I think understanding the human side of the story can give us a richer and more nuanced perspective on Solana's future.
I like where you're going with this. It's easy to get lost in the charts and the numbers, but ultimately it's people who are driving this technology forward.
Exactly. So stay tuned for part 3, where we'll explore the human side of Solana and uncover the stories that are shaping its destiny.
Yeah.
All right, so welcome back to our final part of this deep dive on Solana.
Yeah.
We've talked about, the technical analysis, the charts, those big price predictions. We've talked about the, kind of the pros and cons, the fundamentals of the technology, the ecosystem.
Yeah.
But, there's something we haven't really talked about yet, and that's the people behind Solana.
Yeah, the human element.
Exactly. Like,
Yeah.
who are these people, the developers, the investors, the community members? What are their motivations?
What do they hope to get out of this?
Keeps them up at night. Yeah, exactly.
So I think we can start by looking at the developers, those brilliant minds building the core infrastructure of Solana.
Yeah, the architects, the builders.
Exactly. They're constantly pushing the boundaries of what's possible with blockchain technology.
And what are they working towards? What's the big goal?
Well, from what I've observed, I think many of the developers are really driven by this deep belief in the potential of blockchain
Yeah.
to create a more decentralized and equitable future. They see Solana as a platform that can empower individuals and communities.
Right, give them more control.
Exactly, giving them more control over their data, their finances.
So it's that, that classic ideal of decentralization, that we see a lot in the crypto space, taking power away from those big institutions and putting it back in the hands of the people.
It's a powerful narrative, and it's definitely attracting a lot of talented developers who are really passionate about building applications that can, make a real difference in the world. We're seeing projects focused on financial inclusion,
Right.
supply chain transparency, even voting systems being built on Solana.
That's really cool. So, obviously there's also, it's not just about pure idealism, right? There's a financial incentive too.
Oh, of course, yeah.
If Solana really does take off, these developers who got in early could see some pretty huge gains.
The financial aspect is definitely there, and it's a big part of what makes the crypto space so dynamic and exciting. But I do think it's important to recognize that for many of these developers, the financial rewards are secondary.
Yeah.
It's more about this vision
To test.
of a more decentralized future.
So kind of a mix of idealism and pragmatism.
Exactly.
A belief in the tech,
Yeah.
but also, awareness of the economic opportunity.
Right, and I think that same mix of motivations applies to the investors as well.
Right, the investors. Okay, so we got the venture capitalists backing these startups, the hedge funds, putting down big bets on Solana's price.
Yeah, what's driving them?
Yeah, what are they looking for?
Well, I mean, they're definitely looking for returns on their investments.
Of course, yeah.
That's the nature of the game. But I think many of them are also attracted to the disruptive potential of blockchain technology.
Yeah.
They see Solana as a bet on the future,
Right.
a way to position themselves at the forefront of this technological revolution.
Yeah, it's that classic fear of missing out. Nobody
Yeah.
wants to be left behind when the next big thing comes along.
Exactly. And Solana, with its speed, scalability, growing ecosystem, it's become a focal point for that kind of investment.
Right. So, we've talked about the developers, the investors, but
Ah.
what about like the everyday users?
The community.
Yeah, the community, the people actually using Solana, buying and selling the tokens, participating in those dApps.
Yeah. What's their experience been like?
Yeah, what's it like for them?
Well, it's a bit of a mixed bag.
Okay.
There's definitely a lot of excitement and enthusiasm within the Solana community.
Right.
People are drawn to the tech, the low fees. They believe in the potential,
Hmm.
to really change the world. But there are also some challenges.
What kind of challenges?
Well, for one thing, navigating the crypto world can be really intimidating for newcomers.
Right.
There's a steep learning curve, a lot of jargon to wrap your head around.
It's complicated. And then there's the volatility, the constant ups and downs of the market.
Roller coaster.
Yeah, exactly. And then there are the scams and security risks.
Yeah.
This is still a relatively new and unregulated industry. So it's,
Prime target for the bad actors.
yeah,
Because
unfortunately.
it's not all sunshine and roses.
Right.
You got to be careful.
Got to be careful.
So it's really fascinating to see all these different perspectives, and kind of motivations at play within the Solana ecosystem.
It really is.
We got those idealistic developers, the risk-taking investors, the enthusiastic users.
And unfortunately, a few bad actors in there, too.
Yeah, but that's kind of, it's like a microcosm of the human experience,
It is.
all that complexity.
That's what makes it so interesting.
So it all comes back to that question, will Solana really hit $4,000 like CryptoRus is predicting?
Honestly, nobody knows for sure.
Right.
The future is uncertain, especially in the crypto world.
Especially in crypto, yeah. But I think what we've learned through this deep dive is that there's just so much more to consider than just the charts and the technical indicators.
Right. It's the whole picture,
Yeah.
the people.
Exactly.
And I think that's really where the true insights lie.
Yeah, it's not just about predicting the price, it's about understanding the whole story.
The whole story.
The hopes and dreams, the risks and rewards, the human drama that's playing out, in this digital frontier.
Absolutely. Well said. Well, it's been a really fascinating journey exploring the world of Solana,
Yeah.
from the technical side to that human side.
Mm-hmm.
And we hope you've enjoyed this deep dive as much as we have.
Absolutely. And remember, the crypto world is constantly evolving. So stay curious, stay informed, and keep exploring.
And as always, do your own research,
Absolutely.
make informed decisions. Thanks for joining us.